Hey guys, this is Jules with True Crime Reactions. Everything is alleged. So last night's live where we went over Kyle Fry's interview, a lot of stuff started happening while we were live that my chatters were making me aware of. So we took time at the end to go through everything. Now you've most likely already seen it on my community tab, on Facebook, on Twitter. The news is talking about it. And Taylor, Bryan Kohberger's defense team, finally, for the first time in the entirety of this entire situation, put out a damn statement regarding the book, Dr. Turvey, everything that's been going on. Most of you guys probably already know. But I also stated to my viewers that I was going to clip out the pieces where we went over not only the statement, but also the Idaho Statesman article in which Dr. Turvey has a response. And the response is really, really interesting. I'll just say it now because I'm not going to be back at the end of this part that I took out of the live to make separate. Chris Whitcomb has made it seem as if Dr. Turvey, because of the way that he has spoken, has given him things outside of the gag order at the time, because he has said several times that the FBI colleague of his approached him with information that he found concerning, evidence-wise, paperwork-wise, question-wise, before there was a plea. He stated that several times. That is his timeline. Now, there was also the whole point that Cy Ray and others on the defense side have not been speaking. There is a separate confidentiality agreement NDA situation also happening here. So while Chris Whitcomb is claiming that he has seen all of these things outside of those orders of silence, Dr. Turvey, in his rebuttal in the Idaho Statesman, is claiming that everything that he discussed was already public record. So there's a huge discrepancy there, and sadly, not the first one when it comes from Whitcomb. Man, I cannot wait to deep dive into him. But for now, while I wait for my Amazon book to finally get here, I am recording this at 11:55 a.m. Texas time to add to this clip, and I'm still waiting. My mail doesn't pass until around 4 p.m. or so I still have a few more hours before it gets here. I guess I better rest up. So this came out today, April 28th, 2026. This is a press release from the law offices of Ann Taylor regarding the state versus Bryan C. Kohberger, and then it gives the number for the case. We write, and we meaning Ann Taylor, Elisa Massoth, and Bicka Barlow, who's all got signatures at the bottom of this. We write regarding the recent statements made by Brent Turvey. He was an expert hired by the defense late in the case. His confidentiality agreement was signed October 30th, 2024, and continues to this day. Remember, we've been told the same thing for why Cy Ray has not come out and spoken, but had a class at the Homeland Security Office that definitely spoke volumes. Okay. The agreement with Mr. Turvey was crystal clear that all materials, as well as any opinions that he developed as an expert, were to be kept confidential. And looking at the way that the legal definition is for work product, they do have a difference between factual and opinion-based, which I did find interesting. Mr. Turvey was reminded when the court lifted the non-dissemination order, the duty of confidentiality continued until he was released from it by the defense. And remember, Christopher Whitcomb stated before the plea, his FBI colleague who was peripherally working on the case brought him documentation and information to look at to get his opinion on, and then the plea happened. He said that several times. Now, we also have Turvey going out and doing phone interviews with people, which he just did with Kevin Fixler, which, in case you guys missed it, I have questions on the correction being made, and Kevin still has not acknowledged my comment. Of course, he hasn't, because he did the article and put in there the same thing that Christopher Whitcomb told us about the conversation about the chain of custody and this information being given to Ann before the plea. Well, then he made a correction and he said, oh, it wasn't before, it was actually after, but that's not true. according to two people, because again, he did the phone interview with Turvey and then put that information in his article. And then we have that same information from Christopher Whitcomb. So I gave Kevin Fixler the timestamp and everything where he stated it in Custody Queens Live. And then as I was handling that, he was also saying it again over on Truth and Transparency's Live. So I went back and said, he just repeated this information again here and gave him that information too. So he's not saying why he's changed it, who corrected it, where it come from, was there an email timestamp shown to him or anything like that. But for sure, we've already been told from the person who's started all of this that he was shown evidence prior to the plea. So while there was not only a confidentiality agreement signed, but also still a very active gag order. So that it was like a double violation. And then now that the case is now pled out, he's still under confidentiality. So he double violated giving this information to Christopher Whitcomb. And then he violated his confidentiality agreement when he spoke to Kevin Fixler. Unless there's some other communication somewhere that I'm missing, it seems like that's what's being discussed here. In his role as an expert, Mr. Turvey was asked solely to provide an opinion about the crime scene, nothing else. As such, he had access to view some items related to the case. He was one of many experts relied upon by the defense team in this case. Mr. Turvey has not been released from his confidentiality agreement and is now speaking about topics that are still confidential, many of which, this is important, many of which are outside the areas of his expertise. Now, do you guys remember what I said? And I can be corrected at any time, but anybody who works this field, okay? When you are an expert hired for a case, you're not handed DNA information if you're the cell phone guy, right? You're not handed the cell phone information to look at in your bundle of whatever. If it's not your expertise, you're not looking at it, is basically, I guess, what I'm getting at, right? So, scope of practice. Okay, there you go. There's the term right there. So he is not, it's the same thing. It's the same way that we get mad when Celebrite comes out and starts talking about all kinds of shit that they don't have any expertise in. We got heated several times going over their last little whatever that was with Jeff Tanzola, because they're just the electronic people. They're not the cell phone people for the pings. They're the what data could maybe be being hidden, what erased files can we bring back up. They're not cell phone people. They're not DNA people. They're not crime scene analysis people. They need to Hirsch all the way up when it comes to anything besides devices. So it's not okay for someone who was given only one section of information to then come out here and start talking about a whole bunch of other things that he never had privy to. That causes issues. Look where we are, because those conversations that were out of his scope, right, were had with this Christopher Whitcomb guy. Now, I guess my question is, if Turvey knew that this guy was just going to literally put his 2-year project up for the Springfield 3 and hastily write this book. I don't know if Turvey knew that that was Whitcomb's intentions when he reached out to him for help. I wonder. Okay, let's finish reading it. Mr. Turvey. Okay, I read that part already. The defense team is appalled by Mr. Turvey's behavior and his release of documents and information that he knows are confidential. It is the opinion of the defense team that Mr. Turvey's conduct falls outside of the ethical and legal norms that are applied to experts in criminal cases, and his reliability should be seen through the lens of this conduct. Meaning, he had 4 sources. He had 4 sources. He listed Turvey and then another guy named Chris Hammond. And then he said there was 2 other ones that he wasn't going to give any information for because they were only responsible for giving him documentation. And if he were to give any clues about who they were, they'd be easy. Unlike Erica, they'd be easy to track down, is what he said. Turvey responds in the Statesman article. To this part? Okay. I wasn't sure if he actually had the chance. This shit all just went down over the last hour or so. I mean, you have to really think about it too. With him coming out and breaking his confidentiality agreement, that's going to make it a lot harder for him to get jobs with other cases, because now this is like a world-known case. So him coming out and not keeping his oath technically as an expert, it's going to cost him a job. Like, it's going to cost him jobs. And if you hear my kid, it's because he hasn't played with his friend for a while, because he's in like this semi-pro golf thing that he's constantly practicing and shit for, and he hasn't been able to play games with him for a while, so they're being a little loud. And my son bellows like a lumberjack, so that's probably what you're hearing right now. Okay. All right, let's just go ahead. Why do I have these on still? Jeebus. All right, we'll go ahead and read this so we can get the context of what's going on with this part. Okay. Oh, man. Never ending, is it? Never ending. Okay. Get it together. Okay. Kohberger defense team makes first statement since sentencing. Scold's own expert. Chief Anthony Dollinger with the Moscow Police Department provides a statement following the sentencing of Bryan Kohberger at the Ada County Courthouse in Boise. Oh, that was a long time ago. Why is that even on here? Why is this part even on here? It shouldn't even be on here. Okay. Lawyers for convicted killer Bryan Kohberger have taken aim at a forensic scientist hired to help in their client's defense at his Idaho murder trial, asserting in their first statement since he pled guilty last summer that the expert witness violated a standing confidentiality agreement. Attorney Ann Taylor, joined by public defenders Elisa Massoth and Becca Barlow, alleged that recent public statements by defense expert Britt Turvey, including earlier this month to the Idaho Statesman, that was like April 21st, I think it was, falls outside of the ethical and legal norms that are applied to experts in criminal cases. Among a host of experts, Turvey was hired by Kohberger's attorney late into their handling of the closely watched case solely to provide an opinion about the crime scene, nothing else, they wrote. He signed a confidentiality agreement on October 30th, 2024, which the defense said remains in effect today. And see, that would also explain the fact why he went down to MPD and was able to go into the little storage place that they put together, where they put all the beds and stuff together, and that's why he was able to still see that there was blood on the slat of the bed frame. The agreement with Mr. Turvey was crystal clear that all materials, as well as any opinions that he developed as an expert, were to be kept confidential. Kohberger's defense wrote in the statement sent to the Statesman, Mr. Turvey has not been released from his confidentiality agreement and is now speaking about topics that are still confidential, many of which are outside of his areas of expertise. In response to a prior interview request, Turvey provided the Statesman with a previously unreleased photo of a police evidence bag. He said it showed the police chain of custody for a key piece of evidence in the case was insufficient and would have been challenged at trial. Now, this is a picture right here that Turvey gave to the Statesman. Notice it's the same as ours, except open. The same as ours, except open. Oh, let me go ahead and I'll go pull up the ones that we had. Because remember, we paid $200 for 3 photos and 2 email threads, because out of the 685 emails that apparently had sheath information in them, we were only privy to 2. My computer's been so slow the past few days. Again, it's not just my computer either. Like, it's our entire internet. Everyone's devices are running hella slow. So this is one of the pictures that we received from MPD. This one. And this is where we were like, there's something definitely wrong with the fact that all of these are written in the exact same damn handwriting. Like, that all happened in the same day. Something's not right. And then it shows the piece of the tape on the side. And then this portion right here. Now, there are other photos besides these that are released in the Idaho State Police forensic documents, that 2,356 pages that came out, because this is supposed to be what it looked like at MPD. The photos that ISP have were after it was picked up from the trooper, brought to the middleman, and then the middleman brought it over to ISP. We read through that entire email chain day before yesterday. Day before yesterday. So now that it's been opened at ISP, this is the picture that Turvey, courtesy Brent Turvey, gave the Idaho Statesman. I guess I should save this photo and add it. Evidence bag for Turvey. Because this photo is not in the ISP documents. The ones that we have it in the forensic report where the sheath information is. It still has it closed, I'm pretty sure, but it's like sideways, like long ways. So it is a little bit different. Okay, Kohberger pled guilty last year to the November 2022 stabbing deaths of 4 University of Idaho students, and a trial never took place. Moscow Police Chief Anthony Dollinger and legal experts in Idaho associated with the high-profile murder case told the Statesman that Turvey's allegations were unfounded and would not have resulted in the knife sheath found at the Moscow crime scene, nor the DNA located on it being excluded at trial. Turvey also is thanked in features in a new book about the Moscow homicide case called Broken Plea by Christopher Whitcomb, a former FBI agent who did not work on the case. The book hits shelves Tuesday. I'll get my phone here in a second before we get off so I can see if there's been any updates, but I mean, it's shipped earlier today. The book shipped earlier today. So I don't know what time I'm going to get it tomorrow. I don't know what time it's going to get here. I just know that our mail usually passes after 4 p.m. Okay. So I'm going to clip us going over this article and get it ready to be video post worthy, like video post edit, to drop it in the morning so that it's separate away from the interview that we just went over. And I'm going to take all of this out of this one so that the live replay crew people are getting the interview, because that's what it was supposed to be for. And then I'll post this separately. And then I will let you guys know in the community tab as soon as the book is in my hands. And then I'll go through chapter 1 and we'll be live tomorrow night to start the deep dive into the book. And I'm hoping to do it chapter by chapter. I'm hoping that there's not I'm not trying to discredit everything that's in this book, but I am going to be going in and trying to find as many receipts as humanly possible for the things that are being said. I have to. The defense team is appalled by Mr. Turvey's behavior and his release of documents and information that he knows are confidential, Kohberger's defense team wrote. His reliability should be seen through the lens of his conduct. And I mean, yeah, that's gonna say a lot to people. It's going to say a lot to people that want to hire an expert that he is willing to break confidentiality to a guy like Christopher Whitcomb. On Tuesday, in an interview with the Statesman, Turvey rejected his former contract employer's accusations. So this is his rebuttal to what just came out in the statement, I guess. He said the state already has released almost everything he's talked about and called the defense's team's claims about him a deflection away from issues with the case after questions have continued to be raised about inconsistencies in the investigation and the decisions that led to Kohberger's plea deal. released almost everything. So can you please provide us the things that were not, that Chris Whitcomb got to see? Because if you're already in trouble and breaking some confidentiality shit, bro, you might as well go hard. You might as well. The bottom line is, in my 30 years, I've never divulged confidential or case-sensitive material that was outside my realm or outside my anything, Turvey said by phone. Nothing that I shared was not already public, or at least provided in discovery that was actually data dumped by law enforcement in Idaho. So does that mean right here that that's proof that Christopher Whitcomb lied and he didn't have anything that wasn't public? Does that mean that Christopher Whitcomb lied? Nothing that I shared was not already public, or at least provided in discovery that was actually data dumped by law enforcement in Idaho. That statement makes it sound as if Christopher Whitcomb really didn't get anything from him that wasn't already public information. Words matter. And it matters. Rarely has Turvey chosen to speak with media unless asked to do so by a client. He added, this case is different, he said. I mean, I agree. There's all kinds of shit. That's why we're here. But for that to be your freaking talking head, out of all of the reputable authors that are out there that actually have like passion and give a shit, it was not the best move. This is an extraordinary case with extraordinary types of exculpatory evidence that were not being brought to light, Turvey said, referencing items and information that allegedly could disprove Kohberger's guilt. And so that's the reason for the discussion with Whitcomb, because so much stuff is being misstated and buried and not talked about by both sides. Baby! He's out here saying stuff incorrectly. He's out here misstating things. It's not Xana's blood on the freaking pong table, Turvey. You know that. Did you not call him up and be like, oh, bro, that's not right. That's incorrect information. We can't be saying that that's Xana's blood. The reports show that it wasn't. You can't say that. Did you call him and tell him that he was wrong for lying about seeing Xana's stomach contents when you of all people would know if he really did or not? Did you call and tell him, hey, we already know from the crime scene itself that Kaylee had not moved out of 1122 King Road. So you probably should stop saying that. Oh, and by the way, the phone records do not show Kohberger using the phone towers in 2020. You need to correct that. You did all this because stuff was being misstated, but you gave it to a talking head that's misstating everything and making everything look not credible. I really wish this would have been orchestrated and done correctly, because this really could have done something. And I understand that Turvey is like technically putting his reputation on the line, but the person he chose to do this with is not helping. Not helping. He challenged Taylor and her team to point to specific violations of the confidentiality agreement he signed, because nothing he has said reveals attorney-client privileged information or would cause harm to their client. Well, then that's again Christopher Whitcomb's fault. Because he's coming out here trying to act like he's bigger and badder than he actually is by saying that he has seen all of these behind the scenes things. And if he hasn't seen things that are unredacted, if he hasn't actually seen all of that stuff, then that would technically mean that Turvey didn't do anything wrong if he's only talking to him about public information. So if Turvey is now getting in trouble and he's saying everything I've talked about is public, I don't understand the problem, then that probably means that Christopher Whitcomb's lying is what is getting Turvey in trouble. That's the problem, though. No one is going to care about the information that is wrong when the source of the information is wrong. That's like the best way that I can think to put it. That's what I'm wondering. But see, he's putting it all on Turvey. Because that's the only, I mean, he's saying this Chris Hammond guy, but when it comes to like the so-say expert that like started the whole thing, he really is sort of like putting it on him. So again, I'm questioning, is Turvey only getting in trouble now with this damn statement from Ann Taylor because Chris Whitcomb is coming out here and putting a false connotation, is that the word, on everything that's happening here? Yeah, that's why like it's important that he sees these issues. I've said that from like the beginning, that he is the person that I wish we were hearing from. And if he really feels like everything that he has to speak about, it doesn't break his confidentiality agreement, then I don't know why he's not just out here talking himself first. Because now he's let this Chris guy come out here and make all this money off of this book, and he's out here stating all kinds of false facts and making himself look like he's not credible. Which was not how we wanted this to go. We were like hella happy that this was happening. We were like, holy shit, something's happening. Something's about to pop off. Some information's coming out, and it's validating as shit, but it pisses me off at the same time because it proves how freaking fricked everything is. Y'all were here. Y'all saw how excited I was. Y'all saw how fast it went away once he started opening his mouth on live interviews too. Chris Whitcomb is still the enemy. Whitcomb is still the enemy. I don't have an issue with Turvey. I believe in whistleblowers. I think people should be coming out and saying things if they see something wrong. But you've got to be selective in who you choose. That's why I'm just, I don't know if the full intention of the conversation was for there to be a book, or if he was literally just talking to him and then Whitcomb suddenly decided, oh, I'm going to write a book. And now it's just too late because Turvey's done talk too much. On his Facebook page? I know he has a Facebook page. Oh, well, thank you. I just really want Turvey to come out and talk. Because again, if everything that he has to say is stuff that's public, point me to it, bro. Like, show me what my non-expert eyes are looking at that your expert eyes see differently, that's already out here in the public, so that we can understand. Don't give me this book guy with a horrible reputation and thinks that he's just better than everybody. The way that and regardless of how much I don't like Lana, okay, the way that he basically just made it seem as if he knew better than her, and it didn't matter what her opinion was on the Blaker interview because he taught interview interpretation. Oh, did I tell you that? Yeah, I sure did. Or when Birdie was discussing the thing about the diluted blood and the palm cups and the liquid inside the cups and blah, 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 whatever. And he's just sitting there snickering at him. Yeah, you're wrong. Yeah, you're so wrong. To be out here misstating facts that we have full access to, and then to be snickering and looking down at people with theories that have been more dedicated to finding out things about this case than you are, is crazy. And then for them to still kiss his ass is even crazier. Like, let's just side note that part. It's just too much. Thank you for the 999 law check. I will say they may be working his appeal and the disclosure of documents and information along with all the incorrect info and lies. They may be pissed CW and Turvey are risking. See, that's the other thing that I was wondering right there, because we've been waiting for something to pop off on that. There's just no way that all this information is coming out, and we literally don't have a single other iota of information that tells us that Kohberger did this. We've been waiting. We've been hoping for it. We've been waiting for it. We've been going through everything we possibly could, trying to keep up with everything that's coming out to make sure that we're not missing anything. Have I seen anything? No, because the shit just keeps piling up, and some of these damn reports are hundreds of pages long and scientific, and they deserve undivided attention that sometimes I just can't give it. But collectively, the thousands of us that are out here looking at everything, and not a single person has found another damn thing in any of these files that points to where they want us to think it does. Whitcomb was just not the right person. He blew it. In my opinion. The way that he said things. kind of ruined the importance of all of this. Maybe there's a way they can wrangle it back, but Whitcomb was not the one. It just doesn't, he did not make this, he didn't make the puzzle pieces fit. He kind of, you know, when things get pushed together so hard, like in a puzzle, that all the pieces eventually just kind of like implode a little bit on themselves and fold in. That's what happened here. I couldn't possibly guess what's in her head, he told the Statesman. You'd have to ask her to be specific, and if she's too specific, she can get herself into a lot of trouble. Lucy sent me this. It's something that he wrote 2 months ago on his LinkedIn, it looks like. Okay. I wish I would have seen this 2 months ago. But I also don't have LinkedIn because all I get it. I don't need it, A. And when I had it, it was a bunch of like bot shit. Okay. All right. So this is 2 months ago. This article accurately describes my findings in this case, but omits the essential evidentiary foundation. That seems like he's following protocol. Yeah. Of note, People magazine received my report and did not reach out for comment. You gave it to People magazine? Is he saying that he gave his... You're so stupid. I'm angry because of everything that I've already said. And if you're going to come in here and just ask that question without even bothering to actually listen, you can get the hell out. I don't have time to be a parrot or a mockingbird or hold your hands. Okay? Okay. I don't like the fact he gave it to People magazine. That's a tabloid. Maybe he did it for reach. But I think that like national something scientific. I used to get these scientific magazines in the mail. It was like a monthly magazine, and there was one for science, there was one for mechanics. Was it? I don't want to say it's National Scientific. That doesn't even sound right. Y'all probably know what I'm talking about. They have magazines and like publications for this stuff. People magazine is interesting. Okay. However, they did accurately quote the prosecutor, who was unable to disagree with the majority of my findings. Idaho murder victims were possibly posed in their shared bed after being disfigured by Bryan Kohberger, written by Chris Spargo, January 27th, 2026. The bodies of Maddie Mogen and Kaylee Goncalves were possibly posed by Bryan Kohberger after he stabbed the two to death. YouTube is going to have a field day with all these words I'm saying out loud. Evidence at the scene including the spread of Goncalves' blood across a pillow supports this theory that was first posited by a defense expert. Kohberger Goncalves at least 24 times in the face and Mogen 13 times in the face before both died of multiple sharp force injuries. Autopsy report for Kaylee Goncalves and Maddie Mogen support the notion that Bryan Kohberger posed the two young women together after their brutal murders, according to a newly unsealed filing. Okay, so they went and got the filing. Okay, I take back what I said. I can't open this. Like, you see me clicking on it. I can't open it to get to the very last like sentence right here. Dr. Brent Turvey, the crime scene expert for the defense, first posited this theory after reviewing the autopsy reports, according to the filing. The evidence suggests that after both victims were killed or unresponsive, and then it cuts off. Like, I am clicking it. It does not let me open it on here. It looks like it says reposed in their shared bed. Kaylee was moved from a position with her head on her pillow to partially atop of Madison. Now, that's another thing. The little snippet in the book, we've been asking which way she was facing. Was she facing the wall with like her shoulder and her back area sort of like on Maddie, or was it more like a cuddle position? Like her forward body was on her, and it was that way. It was more like a cuddle position than anything else. Then the comforter was placed over both of them, Turvey said of the crime scene, according to the filing. The theory was based on the location of Goncalves' blood on the pillow, which prosecutors had argued did not support that the bodies were posed, only that they were moved. See, the way that Whitcomb has come out and putting it, it's that the comforter was on them the entire time they were being attacked. The way that this article just laid this out is that they were posed and then the blanket was put on top of them after the posing, and that's not how Christopher Whitcomb is saying it. But then again, the only thing that matters is the actual forensic reports with the actual analysis on it. So Turvey said that of the crime scene, according to the filing. The theory was based on the location of Goncalves' blood on the pillow, which prosecutors had argued did not support that the bodies were posed, only that they were moved. But I've also questioned, was there a possibility that for somehow, after all of the disfigurements and all of the insanity that we know that has happened to Kaylee, was there a possibility that she actually had moved off of the pillow towards Maddie and had been trying to possibly reach over Maddie's body and grab Maddie's phone off the nightstand to call for help, and that's why she's in that position? The only thing I don't know about is her arm. Her arm position will say a lot about that. So I don't know. That's just like a thought in my head right now. Prosecutors called Turvey's theory a possibility, but not a determination, noting in the filing that the blood could have spread because Goncalves moved during the attack or after suffering a blow to the head. Furthermore, argued prosecutors, it would be impossible to know what the true intentions of the killer were, even if the two were moved. The two girls were in Mogen's room and sharing her bed as Goncalves had moved out of the house. That's not true. This is not true. This is not true. The autopsy report determined that both young women died from multiple sharp force injuries, with Mogen suffering 28 stab wounds and Goncalves being stabbed at least 38 times. Additional contributors to Goncalves' death, including blunt force injuries of the head and asphyxial injuries. There were also punctures on the outer table of the skull, injuries to the teeth or tongue, and a hemorrhage into the chest cavities, according to the filing. It was also noted that neither of the girls had blood on the bottoms or tops of their feet, indicating they were not upright or moving about the area at any time during the attack. The one thing that I would like to know is if their feet were tested anyway. Because blood could have been on their feet and then cleaned off. So this Rico guy is somebody that was pointed out when Lucy posted this. It says from this guy named Rico Ragsdale, who says he's a criminal investigator. It's LinkedIn, so I guess our stuff is verified. Brent, great point on distinguishing conclusions from their evidentiary foundation. From a practitioner's standpoint, I'd be interested in what key elements of your analysis you feel were overlooked in the article. I want to tell you so bad. There's still some unresolved issues in this case and some explosions that haven't detonated yet. It's been a shit show. Thanks, Jerry. It's not over yet from 2 months ago. I mean, I honestly just don't even know what to think anymore. Again, I really want to hear from Turvey. Again, he's the expert. He's the one who actually saw whatever he's seeing. And if he is speaking on things that he's not technically an expert in, but it's all public information, he's allowed to have an opinion on that stuff, regardless of what his expertise in. If he's telling you that it's his opinion based off of the public filings, then that's fine. But no, it sounds like he's claiming everything that he talked about was already public information. He was very clear and very specific about the things that he said. And it seems like Christopher Whitcomb coming out and saying the things that he has been claiming is most likely what just got Dr. Turvey in trouble, if what Dr. Turvey is claiming about it already being public information is accurate. That's what it sounds like to me. If you like the way that I present this information and give my opinion, please don't forget to leave a like on the way out, subscribe to the channel if you have not subscribed already, and please don't forget to make sure that the notification bell is set to all so you don't miss any of my rants, reviews, reactions, updates, or deep dives. See y'all.